The Fed's out of options. Rate cuts, money printing, balance sheet reversals. They call it policy, but it's really panic. This is in-game economics, where hope replaces discipline and the illusion of control finally breaks. They're not cutting rates because things are strong. They're cutting because the system is cracking. Inflation's eating savings. The labor market's stalling. Confidence in the dollar is fading fast. For decades, the Fed built a house of paper. Now they're striking the match that could burn it all down, leaving you to pay the price. When's the last time you actually held the wealth you've spent your life working for? My friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans move from paper wealth into real tangible assets. Numbers on a screen can disappear, but physical gold and silver, they've outlasted every crisis in history. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com and get your free wealth protection kit today. That's noblegoldinvestments.com for your free wealth protection kit. Discover how simple it is to protect your future. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.
Hello and welcome to IMP's AEW Adventures podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Help the network out by leaving us a 5-star review, give a donation directly through Red Circle, and become one of the amazing community by joining the Social Suplex Discord. The link is in the description. Read the Social Suplex newsletter. Shout out to Trish and Tim as always, and to every person who's contributed so far. Listen to the other top-notch shows here on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite, Wrestling Art with Chris Things, Trish and Sarah, Tunnel Talk, Sam Bound, AEW Match Guide, and maybe just keep an eye out for that Tim guy. My name is Matt Maher, aka Imp, and this is your quick look back at the AEW week that was. 30 minutes of an Englishman trying to talk about wrestling right after he's just finished watching the most wild Africa Cup of Nations final. That tournament delivers every single year. Between my brothers, we've got that phrase of the AFCON always delivers, and tonight I've just texted my brother just being like, the AFCON always delivers. Like, this tournament, what I could tell, this tournament's relatively gone on quite fine. Oh, but the final delivered. Oh my god, wild. This isn't a football podcast. Huge tangent would be happening, but for all you guys know, I've just gone on a huge tangent and cut it all out. It's like, no, focus. You cut stuff off that's slight tangents, never mind a wild tangent because you can't stop thinking about the Africa Cup of Nations final. Anyway, I'm here to talk about wrestling. And you know what? Maximum Carnage is a great name for a wrestling show. It fit the AFCON final too. Live from Phoenix, Arizona, for both Dynamite and Collision. And what a great unique venue. Wrestling in an amphitheatre just looks so damn good. Every time they did a wide shot of that crowd, it looked amazing. On Dynamite, they had a shot that would like pan upwards from the side, and that also looked great. An all standing floor area too. It looked great. I don't know how it was to attend such a long taping, standing on your feet the whole time, but from a TV visual perspective, from a cinematography perspective, it looked amazing. It looked fantastic. So happy that AEW are running all of these unique locations. Genuinely something that helps set them apart from their competition. And you look at this show. This show looked beautiful. It looked really, really good. But anyway, let's stop gushing about the venue and let's talk about the match which showcased the venue before things went to shit. Let's talk about Darby Allin versus Pac, how they gave us a nice little tour of the amphitheatre, and then that had Darby Allin pain. Poor wee lad. Like, hey, Pac did not want this rematch, but be careful what you wish for, Darbs. So let's jump on over to Dynamite. Maximum Carnage.
Oh my gosh! Darby Allin just destroyed the ankle of Pac. And now Darby steps through, center of the ring, Scorpion Deathlock. Paul Turner, finally he comes to. Darby wrenches back and Pac taps out.
Yes, last week Pac was very, very clear in his, oh God, fine. All right, then fine, I'll give you it. And Darby probably did wake up Thursday in quite a bit of pain, but maybe the trade-off was worth it. The match itself started with a brawling through the crowd right out of the gate, letting production flex their fingers with those wide shots of the amphitheatre. Also really helps cement in your mind as a viewer that the floor up to the steps really were all standing. Just impossible to miss with the two walking and brawling right up to the balcony. And yeah, you have a balcony, you have Darby Allin. You know what happened here. Did a big old jump off of it. The crazy man took an insane insane bump afterwards, though. That jump off the balcony onto Pac was nothing compared to what came next. Steel steps, positioned ringside with the steps facing the wrestlers. Belly to belly, overhead, release through Darby, back first, right onto the steps with a loud thud. It's like, oh no, pain, oh dear. There's no good way to take that. And commentary were hitting pretty hard that the match hadn't actually started yet. Finally, after that, into the ring, the match actually starting. And thanks to Pac's previous win, his charging lariat was totally believable to me as a potential be careful what you wish for ending. He does that belly to belly overhead. It's so incredibly painful. Then just hits him with the lariat, wins again. Like, part of me thought you could just extend Darby Pac just a little bit longer and do something like this. Pac's like, I told you I didn't want this. I did something brutal to you. Don't come back again. And then Darby comes back again. That's not the story they're telling, but I felt like that spot was brutal enough where I could believe the finish, and in the moment I was like, oh, you could go down this way. Then you remember, the wee boy with a death wish can't die, can't be killed. So of course he got his shoulder up, just in that vein of, are you sure you want more? Do you really have to prove yourself like this? Because Pac will just happily keep punishing you. Razor's edge outside onto the ramp really sent that message. But then, all of a sudden, Pac just hopped off of Brett's rope and tweaked his ankle, and Darby was on him in a flash. And I just love the way that Darby just snaps into gear and goes all rabid and attacking like that. Pac tried to roll to the outside for safety, and Darby just launched his body at the limpy Geordie man. Referee down for Death Rider shenanigans, even though Pac asked them not to during his entrance. But still, Darby was in that mode, he was just firing away. The chair Wheeler introduced now on the ankle of Pac, Pillmanizing, coffin drop onto the ankle, Scorpion Deathlock, and the wee boy wins. Excalibur making sure we know that means Allin's now beaten every member of the Death Riders. Just a quick note though, because the clever folk on Blue Sky immediately fought back with, well, no, he hasn't beaten Marina. he literally hasn't beaten every member of the Death Riders, and she's been put over like a badass. I've been calling for the intergender stuff. It feels like AEW's at a point where they could legit just do it. I know American marketing standards and things are, they make no sense to me. But still, it's there's one left. There's one left for Darby to beat. But this was, for me, the absolutely perfect match to have first, because they essentially did just give you a tour of the amphitheatre. Like, you know the geography of that place after this match. They literally walked you through it, just in case you couldn't tell on the cameras. Like, there's a floor area, stairs area, balcony. Now you know for a fact, because they literally walked through it. And then the match was brutal as hell. That stairs bump is insane. You are crazy with Darby. To a point where you just forget that he took a Razor's edge bump onto the stage ramp as well. That was the one where he just gets back into the ring, and Pac's like, oh god, fine, he got back into the ring. That's when he hops off the rope and gets his ankles weak. And I love that part of the story, where Pac is absolutely brutalising this kid. He's absolutely destroying him. But the second there's any form of weakness, Darby's on him in a flash, like a rabid dog, just going at him with no remorse and no holding back whatsoever. And I like my goodies to have little notes like that. But yeah, Darby Allin's meant to be like this heart and soul of AEW, kind of the way that he's portraying himself. Because I don't mean it in terms of like the Swerve, Hangman, Ospreay kind of way. I mean it like Darby, the way Darby talked about potentially being the ace of the company, being the top guy. So he's trying to show that heart and fire. But also, he's got this side to him. He's not all goody two-shoes. Like, he really is able to just snap and just no holding back whatsoever, just go after a lad. And that dynamic, that's needed for a good guy. Totally needed. Because otherwise, you good guys just get a bit boring. Cough, cough the other side. Just get a bit boring and standard. But it's top-notch way to start this Maximum Carnage. At this point, it's like, this is the opening match of Maximum Carnage. How much Maximum and Carnage can there be? Turns out, not really much. It wasn't, somebody on Blue Sky, I think, called it mediocre Carnage. It's not saying the show's bad, but on a Carnage level, like, it's not particularly high on the Carnage meter. On the wrestling meter, really high. Like, I really enjoyed both shows this week. But I wonder exactly call it Carnage. Why did they call it that? Anyway, for Dynamite, I've only noted down two other bits. AEW starting the year off with a run of signings right out of the gate. Regulars like Mascara Dorado and Hechicero, but also securing Persephone. Apparently in dual contracts between CMLL and AEW, much like Takeshita's deal with New Japan. As well as The Rascals with a Z. A quick graphic on screen just plainly stated, The Rascals are coming to AEW. In yet another dose of TNA talent leaving before their TV debut even happens. No, I have not watched the debut. Yes, I have listened to other wrestling people talking about the show. That's the best I'm going to say about it. Because good God, of course not, I'm not checking TNA. Especially after I've heard, I used to be such a huge TNA fan in the late noughties. I loved what the X Division was doing. And I even talked to my friends at the time saying like, TV tapings were kind of just like, both TV for WWE and TNA, I remember that period was for me kind of skippable. But then the pay-per-views for TNA were just, for me, incredible, especially when they would let the X Division folk just properly fly. I loved what the X Division did. And to see how hugely that's then influenced the industry afterwards. But you know, it had its time. And there's still here, and, So I haven't watched the TNA thing, but I have obviously seen the drip feed of TNA talent appearing on AEW with Jake something, now Jake Doyle, and now with the Rascals, and apparently there's other talent as well. There's a whole thing with one of the matches having to be cancelled because the WWE just wanted him. No, that's great for the size of their relationship. A match gets cancelled, and then on their debut show, they don't replace it with anything. Apparently they just filled the time with a backstage segment instead. Like, what? You were promising like a top tier match. 100% in AEW, Tony Khan's racking his brain. Gets out his... In my mind, he's got like a little card holder thing he just flicks through and just was like, oh yes, and something triggered in his brain. And it's like, oh, let's put these two cards. Yes, let's do that, let's put that on. Yes, in a way, I picture Tony Khan at his desk being like a 1930s banker. Which is like his roll of cards on like a which he can just flick through to get while he's smoking a cigar at his desk. Speaking of ye olde time vibes, Brian Keith, he faced Hangman Page in a bounty hunter cowboy standoff. The show actually opened with Samoa Joe backstage talking to camera about hangers, the Ops having been told they have to defend their trios titles, so he puts out a bounty. Enter the bounty hunter, Brian Keith. In his promo saying, last time you whooped my ass like I owed you money, but this time will be different. Will it, Brian? Will it? Will it? I mean, he lasted through the ad break, even on top for a bit, thanks to Big Bill's help. Still counts as an improvement. More competitive loss, but still a loss, Brian. Big Bill was needed to give the man a sliver of a chance in the end. Once Swerve stopped that with his trusty chain, that was all she wrote. Keith fought off and buckshot for the win. Hangers with the mic after calling Joe out for paying a lad to try and take him out instead of doing it himself. Passing the mic to Swerve. His lyrics delivered to MJF. He'll be coming after Max relentlessly. 2026 Swerve will be champion again on top of the mountain. Cue Kenny Omega, and suddenly the atmosphere shifts. Like, oh, wow, okay. These three are in the ring. Our third top boy going for the championship. A light alliance between the three of them. But Hangers made it clear that did not extend to include the AEW championship picture, and Swerve just gave him a mean mug, and we know what that means. And I hope that's an expression in America. Like, he didn't brew him an angry cup of tea. Gave him a little angry expression. And just to bring up this guy again, the answer is yes. Over there, you're taking it to be an expression of a highly jealous lover. They're just taking an interview of Swerve talking about wanting to maybe do some kind of love stuff on TV, or wanting to explore doing like relationships within wrestling. And a lot of people took that to be gay romance. And then Kenny Omega comes out, it's like, jealous partner, gay romance? Just go for it. Maybe the whole love triangle with Orange Cassidy has broken some people's brains. And now they're looking for those same triangles to appear in other angles. We've always complained about WWE conditioning their audience in a certain way. This is a completely different kind of viewer conditioning. Getting your fans to dig into it, just expect just love triangles to appear out of nowhere. Hangers and Swerve out of the ring, gone backstage, but before Kenny could end things off, out came Don Callis, setting up a match for next week with Josh Alexander, the man Callis described as being responsible for Ibushi's broken leg. And we got to see him in action on Collision. Oh, bloody hell, this next match was a colliding. Brody King versus Jonathan Cruz. Brody King was walking through the corridor, all chatty happy with Renee, interrupted by Jonathan Cruz with too much confidence. Established as a standby match, and then defeated in short order. Cruz complained he clearly wasn't dressed for it, but Brody didn't even need to take his coat off. Gonzo Bomb for the win. Hilarious jobber match. I love this. It's the exact style of jobber match I want to see. Made Brody King just look awesome. And these quick matches are doing such a great job of establishing Brody whilst the focus is on Bandido. And it felt like the way this show flowed and the end of the main event really was meant to flow into Brody King getting a bit of a spotlight. It's just a shame then that during his promo, it became very apparent that Brody King was very, very aware that he just mucked up his promo. It's just immediate expression of, I got that wrong. He flipped a little bit during one of his lines, had to just find his place again, and then like the momentum towards the end of the promo meant it had gone, and he seemed so aware of it. It's like, that's such a shame. But if there's any condolence to him, I don't think it's going to have any effect whatsoever on the momentum for where he's meant to go with MJF. Something tells me he's going to be absolutely fine. The number one contenders match for the AEW Tag Team Championships, Davies and Doyle versus Jet Speed versus The Demand versus the Young Bucks. Here we go. Davies and Doyle, a couple of meat men, two butcher boys, having their tag debut in a big old 14 party. The Bucks with the dive right out onto the double Ds, no hesitation, and right into that hot start. Fun flippy times between our two goody teams, then Hoss chants of meat for both the men belonging to Ricochet and Don Callis when they had their little stare down. A wee little teaming up like it was an 8-man for a spell, really just to let Davies and Doyle get over that they are two big strong boys. Speaking of, Tony Leone surprising even Ricochet by taking the page out of his book with a moonsault to the pile of lads outside. That man's just getting more and more over as time goes on, isn't he? Meat men met in the middle and a lovely spot with all four goodies flipping off the top top rope, then yeah, fast babyface Bucks flowing with Knight and Speedball was electric. Not going to recap it, but yes, of course they got the crowd chanting, "This is awesome." Jackson's up on Leona's big Samoan shoulders, spinning 450 knees, ultimate weapon from Bailey looked amazing. Flying high frog splash from Knight was broken up though. The big offense coming, but there was always another lad. BTE triggered tonight just when there was no other lad. Ricochet came on off a commentary then to yank out the referee. Immediately the week after, somebody pulls the referee out of the ring. But Excalibur had already told us of the legality stuff for this match, given that it's a Tornado 4-way, and then when this happened, he just repeated it. This is the Tornado 4-way. Those rules aren't going to apply here. But it made me laugh because immediately, the very next week, they wanted to do a ref pull-out spot. I just thought it was great. An incredible catch and pivot spin from our former something. Jake Doyle caught Bailey and powerbombed him out onto the pile of lads. And then Davies' amazing jumping pile driver for the win, and we have ourselves a baddie on baddie title match. FTR on out after, Big Stoke on his personalised wheelchair still, just straight breaking down into the two teams trying to clobber each other in a pull-apart brawl. That tag team match was so much fun. You know what you're getting to. We see a multi-team match and one of the teams is the Bucks, the other's Jet Speed. You got the two big meat boys. It's like, yes. And the final tag team match of the night, unfortunately this felt a bit when the crowd were maybe a little bit tired, which is odd because they felt more up for Collision, but at this point before the main event title match, they're maybe just a little bit tired. It sucks when it's the women's match that gets put in this spot. Maybe they were tired after the tag team match, but anyway, the Cosmic Babes of Wrath versus Triangle of Madness. A wee tease of our women's championship and potential tag team championship matches in a 6-woman fun times. The overpowered team of champions against a real established threat of a unit this time. A wee opportunity to show where our goodies are at compared to a fully functioning team. The baddies with more team times, but it's fair to say Willow and Harley developed more than enough flow together throughout the women's tag tournament. In the end, Chris tried to blind the tag and win, but then in trying to save Willow from a spear, she put herself into harm's way and ate the thing herself. Stomp after, and Tekla got her pinfall over the champion. Both of those moves look amazing. Finally getting us to that title match that's been bubbling all the way since that title 4-way. When Chris won the title in the first place, they've bubbled Tekla as a contender, and here we are finally. She got a pin over the champion. It's going to happen. I assume they keep it bubbling till Revolution and we do it there. I mean, it's AEW, they could do it earlier, but it feels like it's been bubbling for a while. They're probably just going to keep it bubbling till then. What's that, like a month and a half till we get to Revolution? You can keep it bubbling for a bit more. I mean, Tekla is just awesome. She's just amazing. I'd strap her up, but I don't know if like now is the definite correct time to take the title off of Chris. That said, with them being the OP team of champions, I feel like I don't want that to last too long. I'm absolutely fine with the goodies kind of being broken down a bit. And Tekla's awesome. She's amazing. Make the women's division centre around her for a bit. She's great. I mean, same could be said about Chris Statlander. She's also great. He said to try to centre the division around her a bit for a while on purpose as well. The main event for the AEW Championship, MJF versus Bandido. Bandido's proving moment, and he passed with flying colours. And also great to get that reminder of just how great MJF is in the ring too. Given I've not been entirely enamoured with his character's presentation heading into the new year, wasn't totally in love with the 2025 work for the MJF character, I like what he has done to help establish other guys. Like his role in making Mark Briscoe a championship contender level guy, like that cannot be understated. And I enjoyed MJF's work with Hangman. Not really the build to the match, more the match itself. I enjoyed the match itself, whilst the actual stuff with threatening to set Briscoe on fire with the Demand Boys, like it was, I don't know, that didn't quite click and work for me. But what his character did for other characters was, for me, huge. So it feels like there definitely is something there to have a champion who's this past year shown he's really good at elevating other guys around. If he does that for the Brodido duo, and then you bring in the big boys of Kenny, Swerve Hangers, that you've bubbled them up as 3 exciting contenders, and then MJF has to contend with them. I feel like you could be in for a really good run. That's the issue with his first one. Great match with Danielson, but not really a lot. And they throw in a Collision title defense for Kenny Omega because they realise that the title run needs it. But if you set up right at the beginning, like these are the guys who are going to be going after MJF, I feel like the road is a lot more positive. And the match itself just immediately grabbed my attention with a quick opening flash showing both MJF keep up and Bandido stay ahead till the cheating. And yes, during the amp up we did get a Macarena. Both strength and flight mode activated for the luchador after the ad break, holding Max over his head, then a minute later topaying over the top rope. Even escaping over the barricade from a dive didn't save him. Instead, Bandido climbed up high and flew over the thing onto his man. As I hoped for, so much space was given for Bandido to get his shit in and look cool against the champion. Nay 2120 plex though, MJF having done his work earlier to hurt the Mexican's arm. Danielson on commentary was bringing that up after every dive, making sure we linked that flow of offense with the later weakened state of the Salt of the Earth. The second time flipped out of and into such a great fast counter flow, revisiting past moves like the Code Red, but this time each one got countered into something new. X-Knee rocked a champion, 2120 plex actually hit, but the hurt arm meant he couldn't keep the bridge. After the tied pin, MJF immediately rolled into the Salt of the Earth. Then after reaching the ropes, switched into the label lock. Danielson on commentary doing the DiCaprio meme. It's like, oh, that's my thing. Bandido trapped, the ref eventually called for the bell. I thought this was an incredible match. Like for me that was great. Such a needed quality of defense defense for MJF. His first reign started strong and both literally and figuratively ended limping. But here's swing 2 and we've started out grand again. And what this did for Bandido. He already had a breakout 2025, but to immediately establish him as someone they're going to be propelling up the card, this match did so much for his character for the rest of the year. And I'm assuming they're going to try and do the same thing for Brody King. Like, Bandido was such a huge success, why not put the fire behind both guys? And they've got the exciting youth bubbling of Kevin Knight that's been happening as well. It already feels like an AEW, cementing the guys they've already got, like these are our top guys. Get excited about these guys being the stars of the show, and they really are presenting the likes of Hangman and Swerve as these huge megastars. Kenny Omega too. I assume Will Ospreay, when he returns, he's going to get that treatment, propelling MJF to be consistent in that area as well. It feels like they're establishing that early on this year. Then you've got the under guys. So you've got the guys who have been exciting mid-card talent, but now let's try and push them up, the likes of Bandido, maybe the likes of Brody King. And then you've got the new guys, the rookies who are being propelled as the rookies who are possibly being positioned as the future of the company, like Kevin Knight. It feels like a company that's establishing those foundations for the future in a positive way. Like, you can see where they're possibly headed. Like, why should you keep turning into AEW? What can you be excited for in the future? And they're telling you already. They said it right out of the gate. Got MJF going through all of these guys. These people are going to be the stars that we're elevating. These are going to be the people to be excited for the future. So that you can long term get invested in this character. For me, that's all good stuff. Max grabbed the mic to congratulate his opponent on the performance, telling him the hype was real, that Bandido is surely going to be an AEW champion one day, so that's why I have to do this. Attacking the man and going to take his mask off before Big Brody made the save, potentially teasing a future big man for Max to face down the line, and bringing back that line of, maybe in about 5 years I'll give you another word to actually challenge when you're ready. Type of line which I like the idea that MJF tries to show respect and tries to get the crowd to think that he's being a respectful champion, and then he can't help himself. He has to take his digs. He isn't actually respecting his opponents like he's trying to project that he is. Flip side of it is, how much do you care about digs against competition? Because this very much feels like a dig at the competition, and from what I'm hearing, it's a dig that the competition are aware of, and they are seemingly actively already trying to change stuff. Like, after a very tepid 2025, because I watched half of it, I stopped at SummerSlam, but after a very tepid 2025, it's like from what I'm hearing, they're trying to mix things up. But that's why competition's good. That's why competition's good. AEW got all these plaudits, all these awards. When the year came to a close, the reaction for WWE was just tepid. Was AEW's full of excitement. So AEW's been able to offer that excitement, but okay, this is why it can be invested for us long term as well. It's just a great block to be able to jump off of. Anyway, let's jump on over to Collision from the same amazing amphitheatre. I don't have anywhere near as many notes for Collision, so it might be a relatively short review. I know we put the timestamps for when I start Collision in the description, so this one might start quite close to the end, which, is pretty shit for me trying to slide in the adverts. I try and use it as a really natural break, being like, I try not to stuff the adverts in the middle when I'm talking about anything. So if I put them here when I'm doing this, when I'm transitioning into the next episode, it's a very natural place for them to exist. But if it's like 5 minutes from the end, then there's no point. It's better to have them in the middle, unfortunately. So as much as I loved Collision, it's not my fault if you got a break in between me talking. I try and have it natural, but if I don't have a lot to say, then there's no point me trying to jump it towards the end. Anyway, let's jump over to the Saturday show. Collision Maximum Carnage. In what felt like a standard Collision, I'm not going to lie. It was a good episode of Collision. I really enjoyed it. The main event especially was a lot of fun. But it didn't feel like a Maximum Carnage special Collision. It just felt like a good Collision, of which we get quite a few of them. Yeah, so let's jump on over. And maybe just to capture that vibe perfectly was the opening match, a very Collision match of Andrade El Idolo in a jobber match against Angelico. He's back again, this time bad. Don Callis' friend. Andrade's back. Andrade's back. Na. Let's jump on over to Collision.
He's facing a man. Oh, with the power, the aggression. 1, 2, 3. He calls that the DM.
Double duty Jonathan Cruz out ringside in the form of Serpentico, as the returning Rudo made easy work of Angelico. The odd strike of offense from the South African, but really this was a wee jobber showcase for Andrade's moveset. Dustin Rhodes' final cut for the win, but with a different name that I'm sure was all cool and shit. Andrade's that kind of wrestler. He'd call the finisher the Demolition or the Determinator or something like that. You've been determined. But it's not a great finisher name. Maybe somebody would try and do a cool finisher name. In my blabbering improv attempt, I came up with the Determinator and immediately had to take the piss out of myself. Great finisher for a judge, though. No, there aren't enough members of Don Callis' family. Bigger Don. More men. Although, at least one woman wouldn't go amiss. Bit of a meat feast pizza right now, Don. And that's literally all I've got to say in the match. It was a decent job. It felt like just a strong reminder of Andrade's moveset. You wouldn't call this a super exciting match, but it's kind of necessary in then building up to exciting things later on. And I feel like in the Don Callis family, he's going You can have actually quite a concentrated lane to feature in a good way, especially with folk like Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher splitting off, possibly, which might mean that he doesn't become the strong feature until that kind of stuff's happened, so Andrade's maybe in the background. Honestly, I like where the Don Callis family is at the moment, and I love the whole Takeshita thing. Takeshita feels so over right now. For Collision, though, I've got loads of other bits, which is normally the case for Collision, as I said before. They normally have quite a few backstage segments. I think last week was maybe a little bit different. But this week, Lexi Nair knocked on a door, and when opened, smoke bellowed out. The Rascals, in the old understanding of what smoking weed is. It's 2025, guys. Don't have to lean into what the early 2000s way of portrayal in movies. They introduced themselves and all of their weed puns in the best way they can on a TV product that felt like it was trying to be PG. We also got a wee backstage bit with the Cosmic Babes, Chris stopping both Harley and Willow from apologising. Harley just made me laugh, licking the shush finger statted pressed to their lips as the AEW champion gave her promo to camera. Whenever you're watching any of these segments, just watch Harley. It's the advice my friend gave me when he was rewatching Ted Lasso, where even if he's not the feature of the shot, just watch Jamie Tart. That actor is always on. He is turned on for every single shot, whether he's the focus or not. He is always in character. He is always on. The same goes for Harley Cameron. Even if she is not the focus of the shot, even if Chris Statlander is mid-serious promo, Harley Cameron will lick Chris Statlander's finger. She will do it. Don't take your eyes off Harley. FTR were then brought out onto the stage by Shivani. The champions and Stoke asked for their opinion on the burly and hairy number one contenders Davies and Doyle. Stoke didn't rag on Don, just hyped up his lads. Wheeler excited to deliver his joke. What's his name? Jake Doyle? Yes, very good, Cash. Yes, I got it. Dak's angry gruff rant. They're the best. Don Callis' double D's on anything special to them. Conglomeration with Lexi Nair informed us of Roddy's CMLL win in Arena Mexico to become number one contender to Claudio's CMLL championship. More brisker than in to refer to El Clone and Mexican land, the group going to Texas to whip some ass. Swerve and Kevin Knight had another chinwag in front of Lexi Nair, another pep talk with a tad of friction, reiterating that the former AEW champion sees Knight as the future, with an echo of MJF's Bandido dig, just don't take 5 to 6 years to get there. The two will have a match on the next Dynamite. Tasty matchup. We're also getting Samoa Joe versus Mike Bailey, so also It's a tasty Dynamite. AEW have a really good knack of being able to just keep this momentum going, where every single week they'll put a match up and you're just like, oh yes. Yes, that looks like an amazing match. Grizzled young veterans versus Eddie Kingston and Ortiz. Andrade wasn't our only in-ring return of the night. Eddie's freak matching friend made a save a couple of weeks back, and I always enjoy myself a little Drake and Gibson. He's got his own face on his arse and all that. Silly fun as Ortiz ran the ropes over and over and over, teasing an eventual cheeky dropkick. The vets with the actual flash tag flows in their trips, dropkicks and dives and all of that. I'd completely forgotten how fun Eddie and Ortiz are together. Against cheating sods so we could see their fire. Loaded stock from Ortiz rocked Drake into Kingston's DDT was also cheating. But it's goody cheating, so that's perfectly grand, right? Cheer the cheating. Yay. Yay. Then on to Zeta Steele versus Marina Shafir, another debut. Skyflight's new lady even got a wee video package telling us who she is after her entrance. But then we cut back to the arena and the Death Rider stinger, and, turns out it's not her showcase. Tone set right out the gate with Marina giving the blonde lass a straight Moldovan middle finger. The woman just channeling how Europe feels about the Americans right now. Shafir's a good guy in this match, right? I'm reading this correctly as a European watching this. I'm totally reading this right. And I do keep going on about how Skyflight feels like a baddie stable to me. Is that just because they just feel American? Then the Moldovan woman comes up and gives a middle finger and I'm like, yeah! Yeah! Steele tried to get the first jump, but that momentum didn't last long and Mox was all hyped on commentary shouting, that's the shit, to support his stablemate. A lot got censored on this show. Wait till we get to the Tony Storm segment. Like, if this video's not demonetized on the YouTube version yet, wait till you get to the Tony Storm segment. Mother's Milk and Zeta tapped. Shafir quick out of the ring into the crowd, all amped up and shouting out folk. Why? Then Kyle Fletcher's music hit and we transitioned right into the next match, giving a stage for Don Callis to walk out onto commentary and have a wee chat between him and Mox about the Continental Classic and the International Championship. Great to have two stable leaders just jabber at each other about their wrestling philosophies, with wrestling being the focus. Until Mox stood up and Don Callis went all Ross Kemp and got the hell out of there. Oh my god, never seen him move so fast. Mox eventually off too, right into the staged jump. Don Callis' family and Death Riders all boarding ringside. Eventually Skyflight jumped on out too to crash us into our ad break and calming down to actually deliver a trios match. Late in the show, the Death Riders cut a multi-camera hallway promo on the Don Callis family. Garcia amped up that they're the ones who really know about family. Don Callis and his boys don't know anything about that. Pac less eloquent with, who the fuck are you? And then Mox closing it off being all serious, being like, investing and met a lot of bad people, but I'm the worst. Then onto the actual trios match, the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher, Josh Alexander and El Clone versus Skyflight, Scorpio Sky, Dante Martin and Darius Martin. Skyflight in their sky blue fit colour, not wrestler. They weren't donning hiked up Ahmed Johnson chunks. Here to give the family lads a grand win. Flying Goodies more than able to fend off baddie Kyle when the Aussie was trying to flow on his lonesome. Don Callis moaning on commentary, 3-on-1, this is ridiculous. Once Josh Canada recovered and dropped Paul Scorpio on the apron, the match completely swung. Al Colon not the smartest with his effort, running backflip off the ropes onto Dante on the stage ramp, landed with a thump of Mexican knees. Alexander in just a matter of time before Darius's fight died off. Pile driver to the win. Chatting shit to Kemba about Kenny, but it was Konosuke Takeshita's music that hit. A big cheer, out for a quick meet with the family head, who he walked right past and he hugged Kyle Fletcher. Schiavone on commentary just shouting, he's ignoring everyone else. It's like, yep, we got it. He's gone straight for Kyle Fletcher. We can see that. The crowd reaction as well just said everything. Both excited to be like, oh, it might not just be Konosuke Takeshita he loses. He loses his prodigy because of what he's done with Okada. He's risking losing Kyle Fletcher too. And I love that. Especially with both lads having really broken out this past year. As two people probably on that Bandido level, where they are ready to break into the main event scene if you just give them that elevation chance. And maybe that's just how you use MJF this year. Yes, he's a champion. Yes, he might have a longer run. Yes, they've been building up Hangers, Kenny and Swerve as like the three main players. But also you could, you could elevate Kyle Fletcher as a goodie. You could elevate Konosuke Takeshita as a goodie. Like right now he might be the right champion just to help lift certain guys out of this upper mid-card position into genuine main event guys. Speaking of big talent, Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Danielle Kamala and Viva Van. Another return to action, this time for the injured Penelope Ford, which had the sucky timing of taking her out of both the women's Blood and Guts and Tag Team tournament. I immediately recognised Kamala. I had to Google her because it was not like at the front of my brain. The woman was once Vanessa Bourne in NXT. Pretty certain I've seen her in AEW as well, like during COVID or something. Like that's why it's foggy in my mind. Like to me, her face is from the pandemic time warp. It's like, I've seen you, but when? Those 2 years just mess everything up, and they screw up 2019 as well, because I don't remember when things happened, because 2018 doesn't feel that long ago now. But because those 2 years didn't happen. 2020 and 2021 is kind of like smudged together in that weird time warp. A rapid style jobby job affair. Doomsday Device for the win, looked awesome. Marina Shafir out to congratulate, because we've got a 3-woman matchup to set up. Boo. Orange Cassidy's not been announced as the third. That boo, you cowards. I mean, they didn't make it clear, but it felt like in this moment it's like, no. Penelope Ford's turned up, so you got Bayne, Shafir, Penelope. I've got a feeling it's not going to be my dream from last week. I've got a feeling. But yes, Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa out to be kind. In fancy silk robes and swimsuits full of jewellery to tell their opponents to eat shit. It was fully muted on the broadcast, but Toni Storm did tell the people in the ring to have their slits sewn up. It's like, oh, Toni. I think Toni might have crossed the broadcastable line. I feel like the YouTube version of this might be ruined, but I feel like in a podcasting world I'm safe enough to repeat what she said, but I understand, especially by American standards, you maybe can't broadcast that. Got a great reaction from the crowd though. Ending the promo with, the only difference between me and God is that God doesn't wear any lipstick. Heads up, tits out, and watch out for the timeless love bombs. Final line from Mina as the two dropped said fancy robes and did their kiki punch dance to their music in their swimsuits. If Marina Shafir wasn't already close to breaking off of the slit line, it's fair to say it's a very smart decision to not cut back to her whilst they were doing their punchy dance, because I think she might have been breaking. She's definitely holding her back a smile of like, I can't believe you just said that, whilst when they cut to her after that slit line. But I'm sure at the end of the promo she must have been really struggling. The number one contender for the AEW National Championship, Jack Perry versus Anthony Bowens. Ricochet on commentary to talk shit and be a hater as the crowd cheered the lads on, especially Perry. Richard was especially a hater on Perry. A nice pace about this one. Like a wee reminder the winner was going to face quick fella Ricochet. Bowens was looking like he was the one on top after Jack ran into his elbow, but then the Jungle Man caught him and running knee for the win. After the match, Ricochet was chatting shit from the announce desk. You're not going to do anything. Successfully incited Jack into doing something. The man jumped over the announce desk right into the chair sat dickhead. And then into the main event, the AEW Trios Championship, the Ops versus Hangman Page and Jet Speed. Hobbs reportedly off to the E, so enjoy your last plate of me AEW diners. Unfortunately, this news broke, it seemed like immediately after the taping. At least it felt like it came out within that Thursday-Friday kind of time frame. But at least it hadn't come out for the live taping. I feel like that's a huge thing for this match, is it didn't seem anybody had any idea. So that win becomes as an absolutely huge surprise, and you can see it in the crowd. By the time I'm watching this, it's been known for a little while. The crowd chanted speedball shit. It felt like the kind of cowboy echo that's going to catch on. Very much like the dynamic between him and Shibata, a man that will swing with lots of quick and snappy kicks, versus a lad who just needs one. Paul Bailey was the lad who ate the most shit too. Samoa Joe reigned strikes and his textbook signatures, then tagged in Hobbs to just hoist the Canadian mullet up high. Don't worry, he paid for it later with an oof double whammy. Hangers and Bailey's leg sweep and drop onto the apron combo had Hobbs bumping his elbow on the edge. It's like, oh no, not the funny bone. But then the Canadian's backflip had his shin cracked right onto the big man's skull. It was like, oh no, he was just holding his funny bone a second ago and now he's just landed his shin on his head. It's like poor Bill Hobbs, sending him off with a shiner. Like, bloody hell, I'm sure his Thursday morning sucked. Knight failed to have his hot flow to shine against the momentum, with all three ops running in effective unison against him. Then in the end, Shibata had trapped Hangers down, Samoa Joe Bailey, but when it came to Hobbs' turn, Knight reversed the spinebuster and scored a sudden roll-up win out of nowhere. No news of Hobbs leaving had leaked, so that win was that genuine shock, and they popped so damn loud for it. Swerve out onto the stage afterwards to give a vet's told you so proud wink to the impressive younger lad. But this match was really great. I do especially like the ending. With Shibata and Joe, like, this is the tactic. They've disrupted the flow of the goodies. They've done everything they can. Like, this is the ending flow. They lock in their holds. Both the other guys are not going to break up this pin. Hobbs is going to just clean it up like he always does, and then suddenly he scores a 3, and none of the other 4 knew what was happening until the bell rings. And then they're all like, wait, what? They're concentrating on the holds and keeping their lads down. Like, never in a million years were they thinking that Hobbs wouldn't be able to finish the job. And I love that as a finish. And as maybe a send-off, like, you don't need to do a whole angle where they kick the shit out of Hobbs, because, yeah, like, you can kick him out off camera. I don't know. Feels weirdly fitting, especially as he's not, like, burning any bridges or anything. It kind of feels like you can bring Hobbs back. Like, if it doesn't work out in the E, he can just be brought back, and, like, AEW welcome him back with open arms. I mean, he weirdly feels like one where, yeah, he'll be missed in AEW, but he screams the type of position in a card that why not try and see what else is out there, see if it works for you. And I wouldn't have said that with going to WWE last year, but this year they've already had a tryout where reportedly they were really looking for black talent because it became a huge talking point that they don't have any black stars. They've crowned Carmelo Hayes as a United States champion recently. You have apparently a great promo with Ilya Dragunov. But AEW, they've made a huge star out of Swerve, like one of their leading guys. And WWE hadn't featured a black male talent in a singles match on pay-per-view at all over the last year. I don't think there's been anybody. You have to go back to the Saudi Arabia show from like 2024 with Carmelo Hayes in it. There wasn't a single one. So maybe they're like trying to change that perception. So even though it sucks, the point I'm making, the reason why I'm talking about WWE in a little bit more detail, which I'm getting less and less experience to be able to do. I'm kind of aware that already within 6 months the wrestling world moves so quickly that I'm now referring to a company that I don't really know that much about at the moment as their current state. But my point is, they are specifically looking to integrate more black talent into their programming. So if Hobbs wants to make any attempt to just try out WWE, see how it goes for him, this is the window to do it in. They are specifically looking for him. It doesn't mean long term is going to work out or pan out. Like Vince had these fads of trying to promote a certain demographic guy and he would do it and then get bored. I'm not saying the current guys are going to be like that, but they're just trying to get a on the face win rather than actually caring and actually wanting to build up black talent for a good reason, rather than just, our perception's a bit bad, we need to promote one. Like, especially if they phrase it like that. I look so down on WWE. That is definitely how I picture they're talking about it, in that kind of derogatory kind of way. But I hope that I hope that Will Hobbs does well with it. He feels like the right kind of guy to maybe attempt the jump, see how it goes for him. It feels right for him to try it. Anyway, I got in my WWE digs. In a way, called them racist. So they do it to themselves. I feel like over the past year and a bit, by not featuring certain talent, by letting go certain talent, it's a reputation they've built for themselves, and if they're going to try and change it, it needs to be honest, and I don't think it's going to be honest. But I want them to prove me wrong. Anyway, that brings me to the end of the review. That's my version of the send-off for Hobbs. Like, I wish you the best, but you know where you're going. And they've built up a reputation for a reason, so hopefully you do well, but the road hasn't been laid out well so far. I really enjoyed the Maximum Carnage shows. The wrestling on it was great. Really enjoyed what was set up character-wise as well, which I feel like I say every week for AEW. So I don't need there to be big moments or anything in my wrestling. If you slowly bubble something and just make it juicy and tasty, then I'm all happy. Not much Carnage, not very high in the Carnage at all. It started off high when he did that suplex to Darby Allin on the steel steps. I was like, okay, this is quite Carnageful. I think if this is what you're setting off with. And then it was just a good wrestling show for that and Collision. So very light on the Carnage, but very strong on the great wrestling. And the amphitheatre was amazing. Really do love AEW running these unique venues. So just keep that going, keep the flow going. But anyway, I'll be back this time next week to talk about Dynamite and Collision once again as we slowly bubble towards Revolution. I think next week is just a standard Dynamite Collision. No fancy name for it or anything this time. But with that, I say thank you for liking, engaging in any form, any manner. Always appreciated. Never take you for granted. I'll be back this time next week to talk about the week of AEW that was. So with that, I bid you adieu. Ta-ra, ta-ra.
If you're a podcast host, listen up, this one's for you. My name is Allie Jackson. I'm the host of Finding Mr. Height, a dating and relationship podcast that I've been doing for 4 years now, sharing my positive and practical approach to dating that's built on my own life experience. And I wanted to share another experience that I've had, my secret behind monetizing my show. It's called Red Circle, and I was just telling my colleague about how much I love their platform. With Red Circle, not only am I getting a seamless hosting experience, but I also love the support I receive in ad sales. It's not just typical ad sales either. It's targeted opportunities based on my show and my life. And the platform is super simple. You just set your preferences and Red Circle matches you with sponsors that align with your show. You can vet every opportunity and their platform gives you great analytics. More recently too, my Red Circle team has brought me opportunities outside of my podcast on social media to really augment the podcast partnerships, bring them full circle. I just can't recommend them enough. If you want to give it a try, go to redcircle.com to get your free trial. That's redcircle.com for a free trial.